Hello and thank you for stopping by and checking out my YouTube page. You just landed on the page of your Asset Protections Pastor. In today's video, we're going to be dispelling the difference between the 401k versus a traditional fixed index annuity. We're going to be talking about things like tax advantages, contribution limits, market risk and volatility, and income for life. So let's just jump right into this, if you will. So we're going to do an apples to apples comparison, okay? And in that, here's the difference. 401k. Who can get a 401k? You have to be employed. 401k is something that is between an employer and an employee, period, okay? If you want something similar to that, then you want to get an annuity, right? An annuity, anyone can get an annuity. So if you own your own business, or maybe you don't work and you just have a lot of money and you want to put that money, maybe you got an inheritance from life insurance, right? And you're standing there on the brink of $100,000 or more, and you want to be able to put that money into a vehicle where it actually continues to accumulate and grow and can help you down the road with tax advantages, then this would be the way to go. Here's why. Because the tax treatment in a 401k is that your money is pre-tax, meaning that it's not taxed yet. Okay? And then your growth, your money, it grows deferred, right? So would you agree that taxes are going to increase later, or would you agree that taxes are going to decrease? If you say that the taxes are going to increase over time, then you're more likely right, because traditionally, historically, taxes have done what? They go up, 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 up. So now you're standing here in a 401k, you have more money and you have more taxes. Whereas here, you get a little bit different treatment. So you have the option to do pre-tax if you want to, but you also have the tax to use after tax. You have the option to use after tax dollars, right? So if you're a person that is a very, very high income earner, or you just have a lot of money and you're trying to offset the taxes, then you want to maybe go into something that's pre-taxed. I get it. Because that way you can offset your taxes and deal with that later. But you better believe that the IRS is going to be standing at the door. Once you cross over that threshold, they're going to want theirs, okay? All right, so you do have the option here to do non-qualified. Again, non-qualified is what? After tax. So now your money grows what? Tax deferred. All right, contribution limits. With a 401k, you have a limit up to $23,000 a year, unless you're over the age of 50. If you're 50 plus, then you can add an additional $7,500 into your 401k. You don't have no limit. The sky's the limit over here in the fixed index annuity. So you can put in $10,000 and start it, which is the minimum that I would recommend. I think there are some that do $5,000, but I'm not interested in having a conversation with you about $5,000, especially if you're up in age, you're 30 or 40 years old. And you may consider 30 years young, and it is young to a degree, but when you start looking at how many years do you have to grow your money and where you could already be, then 25 is typically that sweet spot. So I prefer to work with individuals between 25 and 65. Now, if you're 65, it's not over. It's just that at 25, you have more time to grow and accrue that money. But you may be 65 years old, excuse me, you may be 65 years old and you may have a lump sum of money coming from somewhere. You can put that money in and it still gives you an advantage. So being at 65 years old, it does not wipe you out. It does not take you out of the game, okay? Or 70 or 75 or even 80. It just depends on how much money you have at the time. And particularly if you're leaving a company and you have a 401k and you have 400,000 or 500,000 or a million, or maybe even 100,000 or 50,000, you gotta move the money anyway, because when you quit your lover, you get a divorce, do you leave your money with your ex-spouse? No, why not? Because you want to be able to control your money and decide what happens with your money. Now you're in charge. And plus you want to be able to get some of these benefits. such as the tax advantages. Employer matching. Now, of course, I explained to you that a 401k is an employee-employer relationship. And in some companies, they may match you dollar for dollar. Some companies may match you 50% or 30%. If they're matching you anything, then my recommendation is that if it was me, I would recommend myself to participate in a 401k because you want to diversify. But there's nothing wrong with having an annuity too. I will put the less of my money into this, and I'll put the bulk of my money into something else, like a 401, like an annuity, fixed index annuity, or perhaps an IUL. You've heard me say this over and over. These are the two things that I live by. I know Dave Ramsey and Susan Orman and some of the other ones don't agree with that. But here, check this out. Market risk. In a 401k, you'll lose money if the market goes down. In an index annuity, there's no risk, zero risk. Zero risk. The most they can charge you is zero. That's the most you can lose is zero. So you have a floor, Floor, a floor of zero. Zero now is your hero, is what we call it. Zero is your hero. Zero is your hero, meaning that if the market goes up, you make money. If the market goes down, you're protected against the volatility. So you don't have to ever pay a negative anything. The most you could lose is down to zero. So with the 401k now, if the market goes down, we're talking about volatility. Volatility. If that market threshold goes below zero, guess what's going to happen? You're going to start losing money. Now, what makes more sense to you? To lose money or to gain money? Well, I'm pretty sure that most of my listening audience and viewers are people who are intelligent people and want their money to go a long way. Now, another thing you want to think about is that this is income for the rest of your life. Income for the rest of your life. This can be too, but this is income for the rest of your life. Now, if you're going in as a variable, which means that your gains is based on the market, then if the market goes down, you lose money. You could lose all of your money. Whereas here, you have a fixed index, fixed. That means if it's at 8%, then that's what it's going to be, right? And you got 8%, and it's 140% par rate, which is what we call participation rate. Just multiply the two, and there you go. That's what it gives you. So you multiply these two, and that gives you your interest. So your interest rate, if you have 140% participation rate, and you have 8%, just multiply the two, and there you go. Whatever 140 times 8 is, I don't have my calculator in front of me, but that's what it is, okay? And I'm not trying to refer to memory, but that's what it is that you're actually getting. So if you're getting 8% at 140%, then this is now added to whatever it is. And I don't want to step out of the frame to get my calculator to do that. Actually, what I'll do is I'll do it here, 140 times 8. Do it the old-fashioned way. 8 times 0 is 8 times 0 is 0, 18, 21, 32, 32. 8 times 1 is 8, 9, 10, 11. So now you're at 11.2%. So that's where you are. And so if you have a cap, and let's say the cap is at 15%, if the cap is at 15%, then what happens is you have no cap on this, then when it pays you up to 15%. And when it comes back down, then you're getting paid according to that. But 8% is what you've been paid, so you know what your fixed rate is. Now, how cool is that? Over here, you're in uncharted waters, indecisive. And the market is all over the place. And right now, we are in pre-recession. Come on. What do you want? What do you think is more safer, here or here? Now, definitely do this because it's an opportunity. All of it is a risk, right? But it's no risk here. So you have some risk over here. You have no risk over here. So if I was going to put my eggs in a basket, I would want to put them in the basket where I will minimize my risk. If the employer is going to give me dollar for dollar, I put in 1 and I get 2. It just makes more sense to put some of your money in here. But here's what I would do. I'm not telling you what to do because I'm not an advisor and I'm not an attorney. Okay, let's get that straight. But I might not be the sharpest knife in the cutlery drawer, but a butter knife will do some damage. And I might not be the brightest crayon in the crayon box, but I'm not dumb. I'm not stupid. And I can see over here that this is life, and over here is risk, right? Income for the rest of your life, zero floor. You protect it against volatility. Obviously, I'm spending more time talking about this because this is what I would go for, and this is what I like to tell my clients about, is because I want to minimize the risk. If I want to put them over here and give them, if I want to give more risk to make more money, then I'll be talking about a variable annuity. But in a variable annuity, you are subject to what? The MVA, which is the market value adjustment. So if the market value adjustment, if the interest, if it goes up, and I'm talking about the negative side of it, then you're gonna have a negative side on your money, right? So if the market is going up, then it's charging you more interest. Then why would you want to be in something that's gonna have that? You want to try to minimize volatility. So imagine being in a relationship. You hear people talking nowadays about being in a relationship with somebody, friends with benefits, right? So basically it's like a one-sided thing. I'm not a true friend of yours, but I just want to get from you what I can get from you. Over here, that's the Uncle Sam, that's the IRS, using your money to get what it can get from you. Over here, this is you using the insurance company and the IRS to your advantage, because now you're growing your money, accruing your money, and you have less risk. So now it's a one-sided thing. So here is the best friend with the benefit, in my opinion. Use your opinion as to how you like. And if you can't see it, then either I've done a poor job explaining it, or you just sold on the 401k. But if I was working in a job that paid a 401k, I happen to be self-employed. So I have to do these things on my own. But if I was in a company and they offered dollar for dollar, you bet your bottom socks, I would definitely get into it. But I'll put the majority of my money over here where I can minimize the risk, okay? In a fixed index annuity, you have, when you start taking your money out, let's say you need to borrow money for whatever, then you may have a surrender charge depending on your contract, right? As a 401k side, you're going to have a 10% withdrawal fee. And the surrender charge is going to be less than the withdrawal fee. You do the math, do your own research, ask ChatGPT, Google it, talk to a professional. If you think I'm too dumb and I don't know what I'm talking about, talk to someone else that you respect and see for yourself, and they don't tell you the same thing. Okay? So when you're doing early withdrawals, whether you're doing the 401k or the annuity, if you're less than 59, if you're under 59 and a half, there will be a penalty of 10%. You just cannot get around with that. That's just the way the odds are stacked. But if you position yourself right and you put yourself over here, a few things you can do. One thing you can do is that you can choose your allocations. You can choose the indexes that the money go in. Whether you want to go into Russell 2000, you want to go into the Dow Jones, or you want to go into S&P Smith & Poor, or the NASDAQ, wherever you want your money to go to, you decide over here. Over here, your employer, right? Some people put 100% in the S&P 500. I don't know why you wouldn't diversify your money. Now, traditionally, historically, the S&P 500 has outperformed all of them. Why? Because they're the oldest, one, and they have the most money, they have the biggest backing, and they can afford to do it, and they run their own show. That's why they can do it. So, but still, what if something happens? You want to diversify your money. Don't put all your eggs in one basket, because if you trip and fall down and all the eggs fall out of that basket, now you're in a situation like Usain Bolt. Remember Usain Bolt? The runner from Africa, the track runner? He put all of his money in this company, and the company did what? They robbed him blind. And he went from a $200 million estate to broke. So this is why you watch these types of videos. This is why you do your research. Do your own research. Ask multiple opinions. But one thing you should do is get with someone that's going to tell you the truth up front. Get with someone that's honest, that's going to give you a clear explanation, and that's not going to give you a cookie cutter resolution or solution. They're going to give you something that is unique to your own personal situation. Get with someone that's going to be honest, going to answer all your questions up front. I talked to a client the other day, and he told me, a friend of mine, he was so excited. He just bought an IUL. The first thing I want to know was, I'm your friend. Why didn't you come to me? I forgot you sell life insurance. Okay. He went to this person, and this guy is in his 40s. I think he's 44-ish. So let's just give him 44 years old. He's saving in an IUL, which is an index universal life insurance policy. He's putting in, no cap, $100 per month. Based on my math, per year, that is $1,200. His goal is that he wishes to build he wants to buy a house this year. Now, he just started the policy in the month of February. That was his first payment. So that means he's at $1,100. Where are you going to get a house at putting down a down payment for $1,100? Tell me, unless it's a cardboard house, and you can't even get the whole $1,100, because in the first year, you're not even going to have all of this, because you're going to have a surrender charge, which is what I talked about a while ago. You're going to have a surrender charge. And so at the end of the year, excuse me, at the end of the year, this would be $1,200 for 12 months, but he only have 11 months, which means he only have 1,100 in. And you can't put 1,100 in the first year and take out 11,000. And 11,000 is not enough, depending on the house that you're going to get. And he's in a metropolitan area up in New York area, New Jersey area. How can you do that? You can't get anything. You can't even get an apartment in New York for $1,200 a month. And you definitely can't get one here in California. You might could do it in Alabama. When I rented my last house in Georgia, I was paying $1,350, and that was 5 years ago for a 3-bedroom house. So 3-bedroom, 2 baths, and 2-car parking structure, and I had about a half acre in the backyard, right? Very nice size estate that I was living on, but it wasn't mine. So we talking about ownership, and we talking about productivity, we talking about income for life. Don't just keep playing with your money, all right? So that's pretty much my time, and I hope that I've done a good enough job explaining that. If not, put in the comments, and I'll do it again until you get it. Because one thing about life will teach you the same lesson over and over and over until you get it. Being dumb is not an excuse, because life will beat up on you and continue to teach you over and over. And a lot of times we work very hard for our money, and we're afraid to separate from that money. One more thing before I conclude, back to this that I left out. If he's saving $100 per month, number one, I won't even talk to you, because the fees and the policy could eat your policy up and cause your policy to lapse. That means you could now have $3,000 in there, and because you're paying $100 a month, you could go 1 cent under, and your policy will be closed out. It will cause your policy to end. And conversely, you could put in 1 penny more than you're supposed to put in, and it causes it to MEC, M-E-C, M-E-C, Modified Endowment Contract. That's what this is, mutual fund. That means your tax situation, you're going to be taxed harder over here. Even if you borrow money from over here, let's say you have a 401k, and you borrowed money from that today, you got $100,000 in there, and you need to borrow $5,000, then you're going to have to pay capital gains tax. You're going to have to pay income tax on this. If you were over here, you'd be in a different boat. If you're in an IUL, you wouldn't have to pay anything. So just think about what you're in, what type of vehicle you're in, where your life is going to go, where you would like for your life to go, maybe in 10 years or 5 years, you want to open up a business. And if you decide you want to open up a business, then where do you get the money from? If you go to a traditional bank and borrow it, then you have to pay them interest and high interest. At the minimum, with good credit, 8%. And if you have decent credit, 12 to 13%. And if you have jacked up credit, like most Americans, and especially right now with all of the layoffs and all that stuff and all the government shutdowns and people, after going through this pandemic that we're just coming out of and just getting right side up on, a lot of people are struggling and you just can't seem to make it. You need to have something. My mother always taught me growing up, it is better to prepare for war during peacetime. Don't wait till the opponent start to attack you and then decide to put your strategy together. You want to do it now. You want to do it right now. Start working on it. Create a plan right now. And then create a plan for the plan, because you need to have a trust. You need to have a will and estate plan, so that once you get these things that you accrue, you want to make sure that if you shut your eyes and you begin your eternal rest, where does these things go to? Who gets your stuff? Who gets what? Or are your family going to be fighting in probate, clawing at each other and falling out? I've seen so many families that are falling out because someone passed away and didn't have a trust, didn't have a will. And when mama said I can have this, when mama said I can have this, when daddy promised me this, daddy promised me that. I'm so glad that my parents were not very educated people. They were sharecroppers, but they had enough sense to do this. They put a trust in place for us because there's a lot of us and just two of them. And they wanted to make sure that when they left this world, that we will not be fighting and falling out behind stuff. You pick out who's going to get what, and then when they're gone or when you're gone, nobody has to fight about anything. They may not like the idea that you left this to this sibling, or you left this one to that sibling, to your brother, or to that parent, but they can't argue with the dead. And whatever your wishes are, those are what the wishes are. So then you don't have to be falling out with one another and going to court, being in discord and discontent and not being in harmony with each other. Okay? Your family needs to be in harmony. So all of these things is tough decisions that we have to make, but we have to make them now while we can, while we're in our right frame of mind and before the war takes place against us. We have a defense mechanism. So now we have an advantage point, okay? I hope that this video has added value to you. And if it did, do me a good thing and hit the like button. If you really like what you've learned here today, hit the subscribe button. And we're going to be talking about a lot of stuff, all kinds of stuff. Real life situations, money, the government, physical fitness as I'm on my fitness journey, health techniques, things that you can do for longevity in life and a better quality of life. Old man said to me before, and I'll conclude with this. He said, son, it's not how long you make it, but it's how you make it long. Meaning it's not how long you live in life, but the quality that you set up for yourself in life. Have a good life. I look forward to sharing with you on many, many more videos to come. Meanwhile, take good care of yourself and each other. Peace and love.